What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Amateur Hour TV for another video on the second channel for Amateur Hour. On this channel, I go through additional NBA-related topics, especially concerning the Toronto Raptors, that I just do not have enough time to go through on my main channel, Amateur Sports. So instead, we do so on this channel where the vibes are different, a little bit more of a personal touch, a little bit less formal as well. I can just hang out, have fun, talk basketball, and you guys enjoy the content for myself, so I am happy to provide it. Mostly, this channel is for me because I just want to document my opinions. I can't do it all the time in amateur sports. I can do it here. And I'm super grateful that you guys are enjoying it. We got a lot of great support on this channel, especially the last two videos, which were concerning non-Raptors topics. So we're back to the Raptors stuff today, talking about Justin Champagnie. Now, Justin Champagnie is a player that I admire greatly. I'm a big fan of Justin Champagnie and what he does on the court, how good of a player he is. And I just want to share my thoughts and my knowledge, I guess, a little bit on Justin Champagnie, because he's a player that maybe can go a little bit under the radar. And a lot of you don't watch G League games. I don't blame you, but I've seen this guy tear up this G League setting, and a lot of the skills that he brings to the G League team that he did last season to the 905, I think he can bring in this season. Now, this conversation, I mean, it's Justin Champagnie. I'm not going to make a video on the main channel about Justin Champagnie. Let's be honest. I understand what he is, but I do want to discuss him. So this is kind of sparked from a video I made last week. I was talking about Juancho Hernangomez as my main channel. On my third channel, which is a Twitch highlights channel, I did a Raptors depth chart. And on my depth chart, I talked about who I thought was going to get cut. Let's zoom in a little bit here. And I said it was going to be Gabe Brown, who's on an Exhibit 10, so that's like nothing. I talked about DJ Wilson getting cut and Josh Jackson. Now, Josh Jackson's an easy one to cut. DJ Wilson, I definitely think it's the minority of people that think he should make the roster, but anytime I see somebody other than these three getting cut, it's usually Justin Champagnie. And I think that is blatantly incorrect to the actual talent that Justin Champagnie has showcased in his brief NBA career so far and also his brief G League career so far. So for starters, let's talk about Justin Champagnie's age. And you can hear me typing. I'm pretty sure he's 21, but I'm just going to confirm. Yes, he is still 21 years old. That makes him extraordinarily young. That also makes him younger than Delano Banton, who you also see I have as making the final roster here for the Raptors. But for Justin Champagnie, the two of these guys, him and Banton, played in the G League together and were magnificent. They only played in 2 playoff games together, but oh my goodness, they were so good together. And I don't watch G League games on TV, but I did go to all Raptors 905 home games last season because I was a season ticket holder, and I got to watch these guys firsthand. Now, for Delano Banton, we know there's quite a few things that this guy needs to do to develop himself, get ready for, maybe the next step in his NBA career, and I spoke about that on this channel maybe like 2 weeks ago now, if you want to go check that out. But for Justin Champagnie, it's a little bit different. Delano Banton's skill set, and watching him play in the G League, you definitely notice that he is too good for the G League. He's too good for the G League. But his skill set doesn't translate very well to an NBA setting because he's a very ball-dominant player. Well, Justin Champagnie was way too good for the G League as well, but that skill set that he has can 100% translate to the NBA because there's certain things Justin Champagnie does really well. We saw earlier on in the last NBA season that Justin Champagnie was getting some sort of minutes in the rotation consistently because he was earning them. What he did probably the best was rebound, and in particular, his offensive rebounding was great. That, along with being a serviceable defender for this team and also being a good three-point shooter, made him really utile for this Toronto Raptors team. And I think this is something that we can find again. Now, we really have shored up our depth here. We've got Achua, we've got Boucher, we've got Otto Porter Jr., and we've got Thaddeus Young. Let's bring this back up for you guys. These are the guys that have my main bench. As you see, Justin Champagnie really isn't in my main rotation or any rotation at all. I think he can get there, especially at only 21 years old. And the reason I say that is because of, as I was mentioning, these things really help out the Raptors, and it complements other guys. Like, if you're a basketball player who needs to have the ball in your hands to be a good player, which I think Delano Banton is in that case, you need to be really freaking good with the ball in your hands, because there's a lot of guys who need the ball in your hands, who need the ball in their hands. Justin Champagnie doesn't need the ball in his hands to be a good player. Now, if he gets it in his hands, my goodness, he can hit some crazy shots. He can get to the rim, as I saw in the G League, but he can also just be an outside threat and a rebounding player. So let's take a look at the stats here to kind of see what he actually achieved in the NBA. So from an NBA standpoint, very limited sample size. He didn't start a game, of course, but in his limited sample size, decent field goal percentage, really good three-point percentage. He took 28 threes for the Raptors. He hit 10 of them. He took 67 shots for the Raptors, hit 31 of them. Like, that's pretty good. Maybe some of that's in garbage time, but there's a good amount of it that is not in garbage time either. Also had 72 rebounds in this game. Like, 8 minutes per game, 2 rebounds per game for somebody who's playing as a forward, not really the focal point. I think that's pretty impressive. I think that's quite impressive, rather. Now, later in the season, they wanted to get him more playtime and put him in the G League. And this is where you see some really, really cool stats. 21 points per game in the G League. He averaged about 36 minutes a game. So per 36, it's about the same. 21 points per game, 41% shooting, 49% shooting, 41% from 3, 8.3 rebounds to go with that as well. That is really, really good. I know it's the G League, but that is somebody that's too good for the G League. And when the going got tough in the playoffs, and there's only 2 games, but in the playoffs, he averaged 32.5 points on 48% shooting and 37% shooting from 3. This is a very good player. And the manner in which he got his points was also very impressive. Like contested threes, step back threes, on the run threes, catch and shoot threes, getting to the rim. Like he took in the playoffs, he had 9.5 3-point attempts per game. In the regular season, it was 6.3. This guy was taking shots for the 905 because he was such a good player. And it was evident that he was too good for the G League. He's also like a solid defender going along with it. This is somebody who is athletic, can shoot the ball pretty damn efficiently. Like it's the same 3-point line. It would be less time in the NBA, so it won't be as good, but still can shoot the ball efficiently and can rebound really well and play defense. Like I'm kind of getting jumbled up here. There's a lot of skills that he has that work at an NBA level, and he's only 21 years old. I think there's a good amount of potential for this guy to be a main bench piece, especially for the Raptors, or not the Raptors, and any NBA team really. But I think there's good potential for this guy to be a quality NBA player coming off of the bench. He's only 21 years old. He went undrafted, but there is potential, and I definitely see within this player. So when people say to me that Justin Champagnie is a guy that might get cut, and I agree, he might be a little bit on the edge here, but I would be so sour to see a player with traits like he has, which really can help out a team and complement a good group of players. I would be really, really sour to see somebody like that kind of slip between our fingertips, because I do believe there's a considerable amount of talent here that we can harness. So if he were to get cut this offseason, I don't think so, but it's a very distinct possibility. Like I give it around a 30% chance he doesn't make the final roster, especially after missing Summer League through injury. We'll see what he does in preseason, but I really would like to see what the Raptors can get out of this player. I think that, Delano Banton was a draft pick. He's Canadian. People love him, whatnot. I think that if somebody's going to get more playtime out of the two, it should be Champagnie. I think he's better than Banton. He's younger than Banton as well. This is somebody that I believe can really provide us something extra. There's Juancho Hernan-Gomez, who I have in my depth chart here. I have Juancho Hernan-Gomez as a guy who may be the 12th man. Well, Juancho may be a little bit more of a seasoned player at 26 years old. I think Justin Champagnie can do a similar role to what Juancho can do for this team. Maybe they bring a little bit of something different beyond just a shooting here, but if you want like a 3-and-D sort of player, like Juancho's not even that much of a 3D player. You want an outside threat who can also provide you some other key assets. That can be Justin Champagnie at the 21-year-old. So I like the player. I'm not suggesting he's like something insane here, but I really do believe that we can find a good role player out of what we have here if we can develop and harness that potential. And I would be really upset if we didn't even give him a go at some point this season, especially if he was cut. So that's my 2 cents on Justin Champagnie. I think he's a player that a little bit polarizing. Maybe Raptors fans just don't know a ton about. And, that's fair. He didn't play a lot for the Raptors last season, but this is a player that I'm a big fan of, and I think it's for a very good reason. Sometimes I feel like am I overrating what I've seen from this player? But I just don't think so. I think he's a good player, and I think you should want to see more of him in a Raptors uniform, because I think there can be a great player here. But what do you guys think? I mean, am I Am I overstepping here? Am I overrating him? What do you guys think of the player? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Please like the video if you enjoyed. It goes a long way to supporting the brand, helping us really get to the next level on the second channel, Amateur TV, and make sure you're subscribed as well to help us on the road to 2,000 subs. I really appreciate you guys allowing me to have this sort of meeting where I can convey these sort of oh my goodness, the lisp, these sort of thoughts about Raptors players that just wouldn't really make any sense to do on the main channel. So that's great to see. I'm glad you guys enjoy hearing me talk basketball. I'll see you again next time for another video on Amateur TV.